right, so we are at 96 participants plus our panelists. So I'm going to get started. My name's Mia Lewis. I'm with Common Cause Ohio and Fair Districts, and I want to welcome you to the March All Volunteer Huddle. This is a monthly meeting about all things redistricting. And in this huddle, we're going to be taking a look at the campaign so far and our participation in all the things that we are doing all around the state, that you all are doing all around the state. So we have some folks on that are going to talk about some events that they've been doing. And we hope to give you some, fun and interesting information. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Catherine Terser, who's going to tell us what's coming up.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm always glad when we get together for these all volunteer huddles. And I really think we have a lot to celebrate. And, I'm going to go through the agenda, but this is our opportunity to really think about how, yes, spring is finally here. And all of the hard work in the first few months and sometimes fairly bitter weather. So we're going to go through some of the basic numbers, number of volunteers, information about training. We're going to talk about some events. Now, one of the things that makes today particularly interesting is we're going to hear from folks who've done interesting events, just to kind of inspire us to think about it. That means I want to encourage you all to throw in the chat your ideas so that we can actually learn from one another. And we will, talk about the Fair District Speakers Bureau. Colin from the ACLU Ohio will cover that. Then we have the Arnold. So any of you who are like, what happened with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Let's talk about that. And then we'll close out with, what are we going to do for the primary election day? And then this is super exciting. At the next huddle, Chief Justice Maureen O'Connor is going to join us. So we're going to go through, all right, what are some upcoming events, upcoming trainings, but also to encourage you to come to next month's huddle. And with that, Mia, would you change to the next slide? So I love pictures, and Tiffany's going to throw the link to all of the different photos that we have. I think it's really inspiring to think about the ways people have gotten out there, whether it was the weather, the different kinds of events. And here you can see, a drive-through. You can also see the Dublin St. Patrick's Day parade. And as we move to the next slide, I want us to take a real moment to think about all of the hard work that we've been doing and how we are finally to spring, and we are about to be engaged in even more signature collection, because there'll be things like farmers markets, and there will be all sorts of different ways to get engaged. And so this is your opportunity. If you see your picture, if you want to throw out like, well, this is what we were doing, please throw that in the chat. And if you have kind of inspiring things that you want to share, please do that. I also wanted to take a moment to remind you all that there are people behind the scenes. There are Fair District volunteers behind the scenes that are doing things like prepping clipboards, getting t-shirts together, making sure that information is out there so that you know what to do with your petition. There are all sorts of ways that folks have become engaged in making sure that we end gerrymandering and that we put in place citizens, not politicians.
Very good.
And with that, I'm handing it to you, Mia.
Okay, I'm just answering a quick question there. Well, thank you so much, Catherine. We have been busy, and we want to give you a little taste of how busy we've been. So, this is kind of I think Ohio is really special. And I will say that the folks who are working on this campaign who are not from Ohio are completely astonished by the level and intensity and seriousness and committedness and gusto of our Ohio redistricting reformer volunteers. You guys are unusual, and you're amazing, and we love you very much. And there are many of you. So we've had 2,511 different volunteers sign up. Yes, many folks have signed up multiple times, but when you take out the duplicates, it's 2,511. Of those, 2,009 have trained to circulate petitions. We have 7 regional hubs across the state. So we have Columbus, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Youngstown, Akron, Toledo, and Dayton. And we are constantly sending things out across the state to those regional hubs, who then disperse materials to the leaders in their areas. So we have 297 people who have completed a process, a Form 15 process, which means they are kind of officially set up to be able to do things in addition to petition circulation. It's not an easy process. So actually 297 is a lot. And 99% of that work we have to thank Trevor, because Trevor Martin has been helping people with their Form 15s. And, you know, we're very pleased to be all set up with that. I honestly couldn't count the teams. That's a complete wild guess as to how many teams. So in Columbus, maybe there are 20, 25 different teams that are organized and collecting signatures. In Cleveland, there are different teams. In Cincinnati, there are different teams. There are, you know, there are indivisible groups. There are League of Women Voter chapters. There are all kinds of other groups that are collecting. Now, this is just fair districts. I'm not talking about labor organizations or ODP or Red, Wine, and Blue or ACLU or any other groups that are actually officially collecting, just inside fair districts. We have done 17 circulation trainings. That's also a lot. That started in October, and we're still doing them. We did one yesterday, and we've done other trainings. We've had a couple of trainings about talking points and messaging. We've had a training that's about a deep dive on, you know, the nuts and bolts of the amendment itself. We have these monthly huddles. We've had a speakers bureau trainings. We had a training, which was really a great one on for folks who are collecting signatures about common errors and, you know, things to fix to make sure that our validity rate is really, really good. So, you know, every week we are talking to as many people as we can and trying to give them the information that they need, the tools that they need, the materials that they need to be able to successfully collect signatures and explain to voters why it's so important to sign this petition. We also have weekly leaders meetings for our trained folks, for our Form 15 leaders. And of course, we're coordinating with the campaign. And then resources. So those big signs, I'm going to answer this. Linda Miller had a question that I'm going to answer. So the big signs are actually, they're not yard signs. Those are for group leaders who have events that they are trying to advertise. If you are a group leader and you need a sign, you can get in touch with Trevor and he will let you know how to get one. But we've had, you know, we've created more than 400 of those and we've gotten them around the state. Jackie Bird, who is pictured in one of these photos, has put the backs on hundreds of clipboards, hundreds, and equipped them with voter registrations and other things. And those have been distributed all over the state. Mary Klain, who is next to Jackie in that picture, Mary Klain and I have folded 892 shirts. That's a lot of shirts to fold, folks. So not just designing the shirts, getting them to the printer, finding a printer, ordering them, figuring out how many need, figuring out how many are needed in which place, getting them, sorting them by size, getting them around the state. I have such respect for supply chain people now that I never knew that I needed before. We've distributed 700 beanies, 22,000 stickers. And actually, I forgot to put a link in here for where you can actually order your own shirts. So I'm going to get that link, or maybe Tiffany can find it and pop it in the chat, or Catherine. So this is kind of some of the stuff that we've been up to. It's time consuming. But we are here to serve the leaders around the state who are organizing teams to collect signatures, and we're here to serve the volunteers, all in service to getting this amendment on the ballot, making sure it passes in November, making sure we do away with gerrymandering in Ohio, and we strengthen our democracy. So we're very pleased to be doing this, and we're pleased that you're here with us. And I'm going to turn it over to Trevor.
Oh, thank you, Mia. I just want to quickly go across coverage. We've got so many people across the state. We've got Fair District volunteers in over 70 counties, 73 counties, I think. We've got campaign folks in all counties everywhere. We have a map of Fair District distribution points that folks have been filling out. And if you are a team leader, a county lead, and you would like to be added to this map, please send an email to Andrew or myself or Mia. We will get you added to this map. But there is a map here that you could share with distribution points across the state. Next slide there. Also, mobilization is up and running. Mobilize. We have hundreds of events throughout the state. Our great volunteers have been putting up. Tanya has been volunteering and helping folks to get those up and published. So please go to mobilize.us/citizens not politicians. And you can share that, please share that around. We got tons of folks that are asking, where can we sign a petition? Well, this is how you find out. So many places throughout the state up on Mobilize and running. And we have if you have an event that you need published, please reach out to Tanya or Mia or myself. We have a link and we'll get that published as well. Next slide. How are we doing? We are doing fantastic. That is what I need to tell you. We're doing great. We're doing so good. We are ahead of schedule. We are ahead of things as far as in comparison to other signature gathering campaigns. We're doing great. We have a super high validity rate, which is much higher than typical campaigns. We're running probably around 80%. And typically, it's around 60 or 70% validity rate that these signature campaigns get in. So 80% is fantastic. We're doing great. Again, statewide coverage. Here's a little map of kind of like a heat map of where we've been getting signatures in. And as you can see, we're everywhere. This is a beautiful map of plenty of red dots. We love to see it's everywhere. The campaign again is being very holding our numbers close to the chest as we're playing cards. We don't want opposition to figure out where we are at as far as signature gathering, because that's when they will pour more money and more resources into thwarting our campaign. But we're doing fantastic. We've passed the county threshold in 3 counties, and you could probably take a gander at that map and guess which 3 those are. But we're expecting 10 more by the week's end. So we're closing counties out already. It's only March. Spring isn't even here yet. So we're about to kill it. And after this big push, we're doing a big push for primary day, election day, to get these signatures turned in. So if you've got some books that are out there that you've just got a couple signatures in, if you can get them in by the end of next week to our regional pickup dropout points, so we can get those into the campaign. We want to do a kind of big picture, figure out where we are at as far as signature gathering, and kind of evaluate our next steps, where we need to focus efforts in coming up. So if you get those in by the end of the next week, please, that would be fantastic. And after we get that big turn in next week, we'll be able to give you a little bit more idea on where we're at, and some more specificalities on what we need to do in our leaders calls coming up on those Thursdays. All right, I think that's it. Next slide. I think we're handing it off to
Yeah, so
Debbie.
awesome. So what I wanted to say is that individual volunteers and group leaders and teams across the state have been coming up with fabulous ways to collect signatures, really creative ideas, and really fun ideas, and ways to kind of spread the word about the importance of the campaign at the same time. So we wanted to spotlight a couple of those for you guys. And so we are starting out with Debbie Dalkey, who is from Wood County, Bowling Green. So Debbie. I think you might be muted.
I
There you
didn't
go.
mute myself.
There you go. There you go. You're good.
Okay, so I just won't see my picture though. Is that right? Just so I know. Okay.
You're right.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So, well, first of all, I have to say it was initially just a lot of good fortune on my part to have a couple of music fanatics and some well-connected, some of my team members who are really well-connected to the music scene here in Bowling Green. Because in a small town, we don't have a lot of huge events, so we have to depend on getting these smaller events. So I want to give a shout out to our roadies who made this happen, Jean and Chris Geis and Janet Parks, and then Ginger of Ginger and the Snaps. Ginger is looking at the band on top. She is the person to the far right. She is extremely enthusiastic about our project. So these roadies, they actually planned this event and another event. I thought I would be visible because I was actually going to show you a flyer for our second event, because this is actually just the first set of our Rockin' for Democracy tour in Bowling Green, because we're going to have several other events. And I sent an email to Trevor with the band gerrymandering. Okay, so Rockin' for Democracy, our set 2, that's going to be the week after, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, where we've got a different group playing. So Ginger of Ginger and the Snaps, the band that you're looking at, one of the band members actually wrote a band gerrymandering song, which I want to have the Fair District's staff members sort of look at it before I broadcast it, and I'm hoping that they can get something with visuals, because it really is pretty cool. But this was a great fun event. Everybody liked it. We raised $288 for Fair Districts. We're really getting the word out. We've got a very supportive press here in Bowling Green who has run 3 stories for us. So if you are not so fortunate to have well-connected people to the music scene, well, maybe you don't know that, but send an email to your volunteers and ask them, do they know any musicians? Do they know any people who run open mics or are connected to some venue that might be willing to do it? Because a lot of artists are pretty sympathetic to to issues related to social justice. So if you reach out to your community, to the volunteers that you have, possibly you will find somebody who has an in and will let you set up one of these events. Because if they do an open mic, I mean, chances are they would be looking for other opportunities to bring people in. And we brought people in. The band was happy with the tips they got. The owner of the venue was happy with the amount of drink sales that he had. We were happy. So it was a win-win-win situation.
That's so fabulous. I'm just round of applause. That is just really truly amazing and looks so fun. And I think we need to immediately see what other musicians we can get to do that. I really think that's fabulous. So thank you so much, Debbie. Now we have a very different kind of event that we're going to share. This is Tea with Catherine T. And Catherine, the other Catherine, please tell us all about this.
Okay, well, I feel pretty tame after Rockin' for Democracy. We all sat around with cups of tea, but yes. So what we did was Mike Barron knew that Catherine Terser was coming to Cleveland for something else. So we decided it'd be nice if more volunteers could get to know her. So we had this event, Tea with Catherine T, because our time slot that we had available was 3 to 5 on a Thursday. So people came to my house. It was pretty informal. We had a lot of time to chat. We had tea and cookies. We had a very nice question and answer session, and we offered the option of donations. We didn't bill it as a fundraiser because we wanted people to feel free to attend and meet Catherine T. They had a good time. They were very energized. I don't know, we had 25, 30 people there. They were very excited to meet Catherine T in person. A lot of people made a point of that. It's like, wow, you know, here you are in real life. They asked a lot of questions, and it was a very nice way to add some social glue for our effort, because in Cleveland, we're spread pretty far apart. We don't get together very much. Our decorations included a trifold of photos from the 2017 petition drive, with pictures of many of the same people in the room. That was a little bittersweet, but people liked finding pictures of themselves. Lessons learned, 3 to 5 in the middle of the day, kind of cuts out people for whom this is their work day. Unfortunately, that's what we had to work with. The QR code for donations was nice, but it wasn't user-friendly for everybody. If I'd really been focusing on donations, I probably would have had handouts with information for people who wanted to write checks. On balance, this was mainly reinforcement for everybody who's been working so hard. We're all so busy. It was nice to have an event that was relaxing and fun, and it felt like a gift to all of us. You know, it was kind of like getting swag, only it was an experience instead. So we're very, very grateful to Catherine Terser for making herself available for this particular event. I can imagine easy variations on this all around the state, just depending on your population, what people like to do. Next time we'll maybe get a singer. Anyway, so that's what we did. Thanks.
That is so great. Thank you so much. And I like the pairing of these two events. They seem to be a perfect balance for each other. There was a question in the chat about the eclipse, April 8th. And I do think a lot of groups are planning events. If you have an idea, by all means, I think the main thing is going to be get there early. You know, the traffic situation is going to be pretty crazy. So there's a third event we wanted to tell you about. Trevor's going to tell you a little bit about it. The volunteer who was going to join us and talk about it had to go to another event. So Trevor is going to tell us just generally about this event in Chillicothe.
Yes, I wish Bart was here to tell all of you the great time that they had. Bart was down in Chillicothe, Ross County. They're also covering a few of the adjacent counties down there. You know, it's pretty rural. And Bart was they've been anxious to get started, you know, Form 15s and things, and Terry was out of town, but so they've been really anxious to get started, and they wanted a big kickoff. So this was really great for them. They were very excited. They had a great turnout. They had so many folks from neighboring counties come in. Bart was sharing with me, some of the great, just stories of the folks down there being kind of rural, like the different kind of areas, like different dialects and euphemisms and expressions that people would come and say. It was just a great opportunity to really get to talk to folks who represent those rural, more conservative counties that don't get a lot of play. Folks, a lot of folks seem to think this is like a Democrat uh issue, gerrymandering, it affects us all, and those rural people, even though they may have somebody that is a Republican that they typically align with as far as party, those folks aren't being well represented. Their voices aren't being heard. Those folks representing them have no accountability. So they are very vocal. It's good to hear from a lot of the folks in these rural counties. It was good to see them come in and register their dissatisfaction with the things, uh, with districting, and it was just a great opportunity for Bart and Chillicothe folks to really jump in and get their toes wet with such a great turnout, and have so many folks from so many neighboring counties come in and just express so much enthusiasm and support for this initiative. So I wish she was here. I wish she was here to tell you about her experience. But from what I've heard, and it was pouring down rain. They didn't get the volunteers they expected to, but they were like swamped. She said they had so many people lined up in the cars that they were like completely busy for the entire time. So
Wow.
I'm really glad that they could kick off like that.
That's so awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That sounds really, really cool.
And Mia, I was
Um,
going to say there were a couple different questions, like how was it publicized? And I thought the best question about thinking about the best locations for drive-throughs and like some kind of suggestions could be
yeah.
helpful.
Well, I think it really depends where you are. I certainly people can spread the word on Mobilize with a Mobilize event. They can share those links on social media. If they have if it's a labor group, or if it's any kind of group, you can share it with your group. It really does depend on the area though. So here in Columbus, where there have been both paid and volunteer signature gatherers out for a long time, it's been pretty tricky to get a lot of people at drive-throughs, but in areas where there hasn't been much coverage, certainly that works really well. Obviously, for a drive-through, you want somewhere that when you're holding up your signs, people can see and they can easily pull in and easily pull out. You want to advertise it in as many places as you can on social media for a couple of weeks if possible, just to really spread the word. But this is what the team leaders are doing. This is what the local leaders are putting their all their effort into, is figuring out this kind of thing. In Columbus, standing outside of a theater event or a musical concert will probably get you 5 times as many signatures as a drive-through. So it really depends where you are. All of our team leaders are trying to share ideas, and so that we can be as productive as possible. Yes, Nextdoor, Reddit, all of those good things. All right, I'm going to move on. And Catherine, will you tell us a little bit about the kind of coverage that we've been getting in the press?
So I think one of the things that can happen is we think about what I think of as the big boys, the traditional, legacy media. We think about the Dispatch, or we think about the Plain Dealer. But one of the things that's super clear is that we need to get, press media all over Ohio. And this has actually been a very successful strategy. So clearly in Bowling Green, much like Debbie mentioned, that there are a number of times that our efforts, the Citizens Not Politicians effort, have been picked up. And so I just wanted to highlight that, you may say, oh, I'm in a more rural area. In many cases, these are areas where a simple press release, a little bit of, chatting with a reporter will get good attention. I also really want to encourage people to think about, letters to the editor, that in fact, it makes an enormous difference. Folks actually do read those letters to the editor, especially in those smaller newspapers. And just to encourage you all to think about, there are a lot of times that you run into somebody who doesn't know what gerrymandering is. You're out there collecting signatures and you're just like, I've now been talking and trying to do something about the manipulation of district lines for, a couple decades. Why is it that people don't know about this? Well, that's why the signature collection by the volunteers is so incredibly important, because it is an opportunity to educate voters, educate folks about, well, what is gerrymandering and why is the solution citizens, not politicians? And so we should be thinking about all the different opportunities for signature collection, for having those conversations, but also thinking about, well, doesn't necessarily take that long to write a letter to the editor. Elizabeth Warner from the League of Women Voters of Ohio put together kind of a nice toolkit to help with that. And then we're here to help you too. If you're, you get stuck or you want someone to read something over again, I just wanted to highlight, that is something that we can all do, and it's another way to get the message out about why folks should vote for citizens, not politicians. And then Mia, I guess next slide. Ooh, I bet you guys were getting excited to talk about the Arnold. So for many of us that have been working on redistricting reform for a while, we'll remember that in 2018, Arnold Schwarzenegger was incredibly kind to us. We actually had a space at the Arnold. We were, provided a booth. We had an opportunity to talk to voters, and we had t-shirts. Mia, the great t-shirt designer, worked on putting this Terminate Gerrymandering t-shirt. One of the things that I think is really fun is when folks had a chance to meet Arnold in 2018, he said, healthy bodies, healthy democracy. And so as we think about, his long-term commitment, he worked on ending gerrymandering and addressing redistricting when he was in California, when he was the governor there. That was a big effort. And he has continued to be supportive and did a press conference on the final day of the Arnold this year. You will notice Mike Ahern's back here.
And Mike is actually on, and I promoted him.
Oh, good. I was going to say, Mike,
so...
say a few words, please.
Yeah. He should be here. Mike, let me see if I can, you know what? There's actually two of you. I will promote both of you to panelist. 1 second. Mike Ahern, promote to panelist. Mike Ahern, promote to panelist. Hopefully that will work.
Well, thanks for your patience while Mike becomes a panelist. Many of you will remember that the reason we do our meetings like this is we had a photo bombing incident. And so I know it's not the same as doing this as a meeting, but we want to avoid those photo bombing incidents.
There we go.
Hi there. Yeah, I was there. I will tell you that Arnold Schwarzenegger is very passionate about ending gerrymandering. He had personal experience as governor trying to get legislation passed, and that was kind of his first introduction into the effects of gerrymandering. He had folks from both parties that he described that said that they wanted to support some of his initiatives, but couldn't because they would get primaried. And you could tell that he learned about what the issue is kind of on the fly, and it's been a passion for him ever since. Um, he spoke very passionately about wanting to end gerrymandering across the U.S., but also specifically Ohio. It has a special place in his heart because he won Mr. Worlds here,
Uh-huh.
and so I think he will continue to be involved in the campaign in some fashion, highlighting the issue in Ohio. We got a lot of press coverage from that event, and that's just it's not as important as getting a signature on a particular day, but it really adds to the cause. It was great to be able to see him in front of the cameras, making such a passionate pitch to support the efforts to get signatures, support your efforts to get signatures.
Thank you, Mike. We appreciate it. And we love to see you in your shirt and hat there with the Terminator. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over to Colin, who's going to talk about the Speakers Bureau and some other things.
Yeah, thanks, Mia. Actually, before I want to get into the Speakers Bureau, I just want to say, everybody, I am jazzed up. This meeting has energized me just to see all the action, all the momentum that's building around the campaign, and you all taking it to your local communities. The heat map of where we're collecting signatures is just incredible. The fact that we're in big cities and small towns, and from the lake to the river, we are all over the state, and it all really is because of you all that we've been so successful. And just as a point of reference, I actually was told this the other day. I couldn't believe it, but for last year's reproductive freedom campaign, we had not collected a single signature until April 1st. So that is just showing you how far ahead of the curve we are. And everybody here should just be so proud of themselves for all the work that they've done. It's really been something. Yeah, I just needed to get that off my chest. Turning to the Speakers Bureau, this is another critical aspect of this person-to-person campaign that we're engaging in, and that's going to lay the foundation for our success. Fair Districts has had a Speakers Bureau for several years, and the entire premise of this program is to train up local activists, local volunteers, so they can go back into their communities and be honest and trusted messengers about the campaign. Talk about what it would mean for their area, explain the problem, and have a friendly face and a familiar face do it. The Speakers Bureau has been, a very successful aspect of the program, and we want you to sign up if you're interested. This is how we really start spreading the message, as Catherine was talking about earlier, spreading the message to those more rural, smaller pockets of the state. That's just as important as getting a good op-ed in the Dispatch. It is having these small community conversations around the state, getting into people's living rooms and backyards and talking about the issue. So we want you to sign up if you're interested. This is a whole training series that Fair Districts will be putting on, and we have put on. And so we will work with you to make sure you are comfortable and get everything you need to have a successful speaking engagement, and get you comfortable to go out there and start booking your own events. And for what we've done so far, we have over 70 speakers who have already gone through the training. We have another 20 that are waiting to have their training sessions. We want a couple more people to sign up so we hit a critical mass for the next training, so we can go ahead and get a second large batch of folks primed to go out and start spreading the campaign's message and talking to your family and friends and neighbors. We see here we have 25 presentations across the state that have already been completed. We have another 10 that are confirmed and in the hopper. And those numbers are only going to go up. They are only going to become more frequent and more geographically diverse. So we want to build out our Speakers Bureau across every corner of the state. So when we are, presented with the opportunity to speak in Ashtabula County, or, down in Ironton and Lawrence County, we have folks there or close to there that are able to go and, again, give that, personal, community focused conversation about the campaign. Also, we are still accepting, events or our solicitations for our speakers. If you know of an organization or a community group, book club that would like to hear about the campaign, please do submit a request form. We will make sure to have a speaker arranged to come out and present to your group. And we will, also like to track where we have these events as well, which is another key aspect of the Speakers Bureau, making sure we have an idea of where we've been in the state and where we might need to focus our efforts in the future. So if you're interested about learning how to talk about the amendment, how to give a presentation, please don't hesitate to sign up. And we will have a second round of training scheduled in the near future. And then we can go to the next slide. And then, yes, I know we've kind of been mentioning it throughout the course of tonight's presentation, but we really want to stress how valuable and how much potential there is for next Tuesday on Election Day for signature collection. Obviously, we all know Election Day is a great time to collect signatures. You have people that are going to be in your neighborhood at their local polling locations. We know they're registered to vote. We know they're engaged. So this is a great bang for our buck opportunity to go out and collect as many signatures as possible. And another aspect here we're looking at when we're talking about, crossing off counties or meeting the required threshold for counties. As we all know, we need to reach a certain percentage in 44 counties. Election Day is a huge opportunity here to start getting into rural Ohio because there are over 25 counties in Ohio that the threshold we need to meet is less than 500 signatures. So that's again a huge bang for our buck to be able to get out there and get those signatures in the bank so we can close those counties. If you're not interested in doing signature collection on Election Day, there's still plenty of other opportunities to volunteer and to help our democracy flourish. And we would have to mention our nonpartisan election protection program, where we, go out to the polls as poll monitors and ensure folks are being able to cast their ballot in a safe and hassle-free way. This has been a program that the Ohio Voter Rights Coalition has been putting on for years. I honestly I couldn't even tell you the first time we did it. It's been so long, but we know it's always a great opportunity to, get out and help ensure that, again, our neighbors and our friends and anybody who wants to cast a ballot on Election Day is able to and able to have their vote counted. We do have a poll monitor training coming up tomorrow at 6 p.m. But we also have, hot cards and placards, buttons here that folks can have on them, especially if you are out collecting signatures for the campaign. Always having a couple stacks of postcards for election protection is a great thing to have on you. So I will now go ahead and send it over to Mia to close us out.
Thank you so much, Colin. Yeah, so this is kind of a twofer. You can, if you're collecting signatures and you're wearing an election protection button, you're kind of doing two nonpartisan things at once. So awesome. Thank you so much. I just wanted to, I think folks on here really know this map, but I just wanted to kind of emphasize where we are. We're in the fourth square there. We're doing signature collection. It's a big lift. It's 413,487 valid signatures. So of course we want to collect almost twice as many. That's 10% of the last gubernatorial vote. But that is just one phase of this effort. So once we're done collecting signatures, and we submit those to the Secretary of State and they're certified, then they're certified to be on the ballot in November, then we're going to have a job to do, which is to convince people to vote yes. And we're the best people to do that because we can talk to our neighbors and our friends that people have seen us out there with our commitment to this effort with our clipboards, and we can make sure that we win. And then we can be around when the commission is elected, and we can apply to be on the commission, and we can vet the people who are applying, and we can give testimony when they bring maps forward. We can continue to be a part of this process all the way through till the election in November 26, and into the future for future maps that are drawn after the next census. So, we're in an important phase now, but this work is going to continue and we need all of you. I know that there are some of you who are not out there collecting signatures because it's not something that you are interested in doing or able to do. And so after we get on the ballot, there'll be other work for you to do in terms of contacting voters and spreading the word. And just about yard signs, officially from the campaign, once we're on the ballot, once we've been certified on the ballot and we know what issue number we're going to be, whether we're issue 1 or issue 2, then they will have a big batch of yard signs, and we'll have a whole yard sign distribution effort. But until then, we aren't going to do a big yard sign distribution, just FYI. So I just wanted to let folks know there's still time to get involved. Three easy steps to step 4, get busy. You can sign up to volunteer. We've got a link. You can get trained here. And, if you're looking to train before Election Day, there's a recording you can listen to, and you can look at slides and take a quiz. And then once you've filled out the volunteer sign up form here, that automatically sends an alert to the leader in your area, who will then reach out to you and let you know how you can get booklets and how you can get busy. And, Colin already shared about collecting on Election Day, and we have a link to 10 different counties where we have polling places that we've selected. Of course.
So, Mia,
yes.
you had a couple different questions.
Okay.
One was a request to go back to the slide about the 413,000 plus change valid signatures. And then the other question was if somebody doesn't want to do the training, they don't want to do the training, that they can actually watch the recording. So those were the two kind of questions.
Yes, they can. But we do a quiz. So I've had a few emails from folks who said things like, I had an email today. I'm sorry, but I did have an email today saying, can I collect signatures from different counties in the same book? And I said, my friend, you have not done the training. Because we say that in many times during the training. So it is important to do the training. Even if you've collected signatures before, we do require that you do the training. So if you don't come to a live training and you listen to it, it's just 50 minutes long. I know you can do it. And then there's a quiz that you can take.
Ooh, Mia, what is what is our validation rate with volunteer signatures, the Fair District signatures?
Our validation rate is at least 80%. Right now it's about 80%, but we had some issues with batch sheets, which are the sheets that we turn in with our booklets when we're finished and we hand them in, and those are being corrected. So I think that our validity rate is going to get even higher. So we're excited that we're kind of at least 80%. That's very, very good. We're very proud of that, and it's excellent. Anything else?
Nothing else that I see.
Right.
The other thing to remind people is you're going to get these slides, and you'll get a follow-up email. So you'll have a chance to kind of look over stuff a little more deeply if you want to.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you so much. Yep. And then our friend Sherry Rose, who is our fundraiser guru, of course, wanted us to remind you that it's important to donate. You know, if you're not collecting, that's another way of supporting us. And it's very important, and we certainly appreciate everything that you do on that form. And we do have a donation link for the swag, for the t-shirts, and then also this one for donating in general. And we appreciate that very much. This is the last slide. These are just additional ways to support Fair Districts: following us on social media, donating, requesting a speaker, looking at our toolkit. And then we do have a exciting next huddle, April 10th, 6 p.m. We are going to be joined by former Chief Justice Maureen O'Connor. And of course, in her first, when she ruled against the first set of maps, she did actually bring up the issue of an independent citizens commission. So here we are, collecting signatures for that independent citizens commission. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you and everything that you do for this campaign. We have so many people that are a part of this, and it really is exciting. We will send you all of this follow-up. We appreciate everything you do. And I think that's it. Any other questions or comments or notes from our panelists? All right, guys.
Sure. Actually, Leslie asked, I'm not quite sure if she's got folks who are covering a specific polling place on election day in Strongsville.
Yeah.
But could we request that you send those to, we could let the campaign know that you're gonna be there collecting.
Yeah.
If you know you're gonna be at a specific polling location on election day, yeah, please let us know. Even if you're not on the sign up Genius, we can let the campaign know that you're gonna be there collecting.
But I will also say that those spots have been chosen as priority spots, both by us and by the campaign. So, and also if we don't fill them, then we have to do a complicated thing with releasing them to the campaign. So it's really, really to our benefit if we can possibly fill all of those slots first. So if you're willing to promote those and we get those filled and then they're all filled and then you want to add more, by all means, we can add more. But as Trevor said, you can let us know if you're absolutely going to be, yeah. So yeah. All right. Thank you so much. And thank you, Ray. I'm going to take a look at that. That's awesome. Excellent. So have a great evening, folks. You're going to get something from us tomorrow and carry on.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
And you'll
you.
get the
Yeah.
sign up if you want to collect signatures on election day. So that'll be coming too.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody.
You're doing great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Catherine.
Go
Thank you,
team.
Michael. You provided inspiration. Bye, everybody.
Bye.